I now have the interesting life of spending a lot of my life on aeroplanes, traveling around the world, talking to big groups like this about making money. And what I've found is the mechanics of making money is completely the easy part. It's the psychology, it's the mind stuff behind the making money that's the important bit. And what I've learned, let me just tell you, I can tell you a quick story. I was on an airplane with a guy by the name of, have you guys heard of a guy called T. Harv Eker? Yes or no? Do you guys know him? T. Harv Eker, write this down, he's interesting. He wrote a book called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And I met him on an airplane. We were speaking at the same gig. I didn't know I was going to be speaking at the same gig as him. And we meet 35,000 feet above Singapore. And we start talking. We figure out we both speak at the same gig. We both got really friendly. You know what it's like when you meet someone you've never met before, but you know you're going to get on well with them. And we were talking about the mechanics of wealth and why some people make a lot of money and other people don't. And I want to do an exercise with you that he taught me. He said to me, Greg, he said, let me tell you this. Give me 5 minutes with anybody, and I will tell you how rich they're going to be for the rest of their life. Do you think that sounds interesting? Imagine that, 5 minutes. I was like, shit, man, you've got to teach me that. Come on, come out with it. So he goes, right. He goes, well, because of this point, so we're really getting into it. I'm talking about trading. I'm saying, I was 27 years old, how much money I'd made. I said, I left my job. And he's like, oh, that's nothing. Listen to this. And we love this. And so suddenly we've got like 6 Singaporean air hostesses hanging around us. Like, I want to play the game. He goes, okay, we're going to play this like money game. And so we started talking about the psychology of wealth and why certain people are rich and certain people are poor and how come academic people often are very poor and not rich. We didn't get into the whole shit, really going at it. And he said, well, I can tell you anybody how rich they're going to be for the rest of their life, and I have to ask them 2 questions. Can I ask you guys the questions? We'll do it for fun. You guys up for that, yes or no? Yeah? All right. So the first question is this. He said, what people think they think about money is not necessarily how they feel. And he said, one of the things I learned is that, please write this down. This is so cool. People don't do as they think. People don't do as they think. People do as they feel. People don't do as they think. People do as they feel. So I said, okay, come on, you got to tell me what you mean by that. He goes, well, he said, let's think about money, for example. He said, let me tell you, Greg, you're trading. He says, how long does it take you to make your money in the morning? I said, about an hour. I said, how much? He goes, how much can you make in that hour? I go, 100,000 pounds. He goes, wow, that's a lot of money. I go, yeah. He goes, you've got to show me how to do that. I said, I'm going to show you how to do that. He said, could anyone do that? I said, absolutely anybody can do it. I've got a 3-year-old son. I'm showing him how to do it right now. Seriously, he's been on my lap since he was like 18 months old watching the screens. And he knows exactly, my son will look at the screen going, Daddy, Daddy, Eurotest bar, because it flashes. My poor kid, right? He can't even recite poetry yet. He's saying shit like that. Anyway, but he will be rich. So I said, God damn it. So he said, could anyone do it? I said, yeah. He goes, so why aren't more people doing it? I said, it's a great question. He says, because the shit that's going on. I said, he goes, so here's the game. Do you guys want to play the game? He says, here's what people think about wealth. I said, if I ask you this question, what do you think when I say to you having a lot of money? What does that mean? Shout out some answers. Feel free. Whoa, there we go. Freedom. It's like Mel Gibson's in the audience. Freedom. Yeah, thanks, Mel. Toys, yeah. Men. Women, okay. What else? Happy life. Yeah. Choices. What else? Sports cars. Holidays. Responsibility. Oh dear. Power. Someone say power? Keep going, what else? Sex. All right. I always said 90% of your problems in life can be solved by writing a check, right? Is that one of them? What else? Okay, say again? And charity, good, okay, so great. So look, I mean, random selection of only the people I could hear, and I apologize, people back in the room I couldn't hear, but when you ask a group of people, random selection, what they think about having lots of money, it's freedom, choice, men, women, happiness, choices, sex, power. We could categorize all of those things as relatively good things, yes or no? Yes or no, people? They're all pretty good. They're not negative, are they? Okay. Then he said this, so he goes, that's what people think they think about money. Now, the second question is the important one, which is, what do you remember hearing as a child growing up said to you around the subject of money? Okay, good. So the first one is, money doesn't buy happiness. Keep going. Root of all evil. Doesn't grow on trees. Save it! Yeah. Does anyone remember a parent saying, we can't afford it? Yes or no? Yes, we can't afford it. You've got to work hard and all that shit. Now, would you all agree that to more or lesser extent, most of those are negative statements, yes or no? And the point that Har was then bringing up to me, he says, look, the problem is this whole concept of, we know the mechanics of making a lot of money are relatively straightforward because they're just instructions. But the doing part, actually getting yourself into a space where you want to do it, the getting of the bigger amount of wealth, often there's a lot of stuff that's going on. Children between the age of 6 and 14, excuse me, as they say, are in what's called the Impressionable Age. Therefore, instructions taught to them by parents, mentors, guardians, and teachers, things like, rich people are mean, the root of all evil, money doesn't grow on trees. I mean, a lot of these things, of course, are just clearly bullshit, but because we're taking them on at such an early age, do you think we drop them off at 15, or do you think we hold on to them for a longer period of time in our lives? Do you think we hold on to them, yes or no? And that's what's going on. So people tend to be in mixed emotions around money. And it's quite funny, I always think, when you look at them, and they say, money can't buy you happiness. My answer to that often is, those people just don't know where to shop. My favorite is, money doesn't grow on trees. I mean, apart from this country where your money is made out of plastic, the rest of the world, where the fuck do you think paper comes from? So the point is, if I could just jump back to the PowerPoint slides, folks, quickly, is that, and as Harv told me, he goes, in life, it's not that people are aiming for here and missing it, of course they're aiming for here and hitting it. And I'm a big believer in setting a goal and then doing some things towards it. So my point is this, we may all have this list in our head of what our life should be like, being rich and wealthy and traveling the world in style and being the person you always wanted to be. That's that should list, isn't it? And then there's the must list, which says, well, I must pay my bills, go to work, eat, sleep, and that's it. Now, which list, for most people, I know this high achievement room doesn't operate under the same ideals, but for most people, which list often gets more done? The one on the left or the one on the right? And it's the one on the right for good reason. Why is it the one on the right always gets done? And that is because if you don't do the one on the right, you experience immediate pain. If you don't go to sleep, you're going to feel painful the next day. Anybody who's pulled an all-nighter knows exactly how that feels. Don't eat, you're going to feel pretty lousy the next day. If you don't go to work or pay your bills, that's going to result in pretty immediate pain. However, if you don't travel the world in style tomorrow, will you experience pain? You won't. If you haven't become the person you're always supposed to be, will you feel pain tomorrow? No. And if you haven't bought your dream home and your holiday home, you're not going to experience real pain. The only time you really experience pain on the one from the left is when you have the moment of contrast, where you meet somebody you used to go to school with or used to work with, and they're achieving more of the things on the left than you are, then often that can result in feeling of pain. I believe that the answer to a lot of this stuff is setting a goal and then chunking it down into exactly what needs to be done in order to get it. So I'm going to give you my 4 steps of change, and I'm going to try and make you laugh while I do it. We used to run something called the 9 steps of change, and people couldn't cope with that, so we chopped it down to the 4 steps of change. And it goes over much better, and it's faster, nearly half the speed. All around the world, with the people that come on our trading programs, people we teach to make money and go off and do big things with, they all go through this process called the 4 steps of change. It's all about changing our mind around the attraction of making more money. Is it okay if I do this process with you so you can take this really valuable piece of information away with you guys today, yes or no? Okay, I'm going to tell it to you in a funny story. I'm not going to tell it to you in a story about how I made a load of money, because I think that's kind of boring. I'd like to talk to you about how I learned to fly helicopters, because this is a more fun story. So here come the steps, and I'll tell you the funny story. Step 1 is create a meaningful goal. Please write that down. Create a meaningful goal. The important word here is meaningful, so it must be written down. Meaningful means it must mean something to you. Most people's goals are other people's goals. Most people's goals are society goals, your wife or your husband's goals, your girlfriend or your boyfriend's goals, but they're not your goals. What do you want to do? Because unless you know exactly what you want, the likelihood of you getting it becomes very little. Most people you speak to in life and you ask them what they want, they don't know. So it's really important we know what we want. Now, I've got a trading floor in London, in Chelsea, on the Thames. If you know where the River Thames is, it runs right through the middle of London. Opposite my trading floor, and it's a big trading floor now, there's a big heliport, London heliport, and helicopters land there about every 10 minutes. And one of my traders on the floor says, Greg, you should fly a helicopter. Why don't you fly a helicopter? I said, yeah, it's something I've always been meaning to do. I should really learn how to do that. So all the boys on my floor start going, Greg, sounds like a goal, mate. Write it down. So, of course, one of the guys on my whiteboard writes down Greg to be a helicopter pilot. So I have to set a good example to my team. So then I pick up the phone, and I go, I'll figure it out. So I pick up the phone, I speak to one of my best friends who's a pilot, and I said, Rich, who taught you to fly? And he went, oh, Greg, go and get yourself in a quiet room. I know exactly the guy you need to talk to. I'm like, all right. So I get in the quiet room and he goes, Greg, listen, there's this guy called Quinton Smith. But nobody calls him Quinton Smith. Everybody calls him Q. And I said, well, what's the big deal? He goes, oh, no, you don't understand. This guy's got a proper old school, like handlebar mustache. It's like proper, like waxed handlebar mustache. He said, he's brilliant. He said, this is the guy that flew his helicopter to the South Pole. His family are old explorers, and he speaks with the most outrageous accent. Call him and only be trained by Q. Anyway, so I call up Heliair in London, and I said, can I speak to Q? And this voice comes down the phone like I'll never forget, like it's something of a 1920s commercial. It goes, Q speaking, like this, right? And I'm like, wow. This guy's like the real deal. He goes, how can I help you? I said, Q, my name is Greg Secker. I'm a good friend of Rich Scott's. You taught him to fly many moons ago, and apparently you're the guy to learn to fly with. He goes, I am that man. I said, right. Well, I'm really excited. I think you're the guy. He goes, Greg, I would love to train you. He goes, but I have a challenge. I'm training the London Air Ambulance Paramedic School. I'm unavailable for 6 weeks. I said, okay, I understand. I said, I'd like to get going early. I said, but can you just tell me everything I'd need to do in order to learn how to fly a helicopter and become a pilot? He says, Greg, do you have a pen and paper? I said, yeah. Okay, I'll get one. He goes, write this down. This guy talks nonstop for 45 minutes, just goes through it, everything I have to do, all the hours, all the flight training, all the exams, all the medicals, everything, soup to nuts, the books I need to buy, the DVDs, the immersion trainings, all this shit. I'm writing all this stuff. Like 7 pages of notes, literally by the time to stop. So because all the time for 45 minutes, I've been entertained. And I'm thinking, fuck me, man. If I'm going to learn to fly a helicopter, I've got to do it with this idiot sat next to me, because he's hilarious, right? So I'm excited. I'm like, Q, I said, this has been a fun experience. I said, but you've got to be the guy that teaches me. He goes, sorry. He goes, as I said, London Air Ambulance School beckons. Anyway, give me a call in 6 weeks. And then he just goes, clunk. I'm like, fuck. He's hung up. So my guys all look at me and goes, well, what happened? I go, he's hung up. So I call him back and I went, Q, I think the phone went dead. All of a sudden you're just gone. He goes, no, that was it. I'm like, wow. I said, listen, I'm really keen on you being the guy that teaches me. And I'm trying to think fast because I now want to lock this guy in. And so I said to him, how much, so I'm suddenly thinking, I think maybe the money thing. So I said, well, how do people pay for this stuff? He goes, well, we just bill them every month. We send them an invoice for the hours. I said, well, okay, what would it cost me start to finish to fly, have my license, and maybe get a helicopter, but be finished, out-licensed pilot? He says, how coordinated are you? You don't sound very coordinated, so he goes, in your case, I'd put £70,000 on budget. I'm like, that's a lot of money. I'm like, okay, well, I said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to Barclays, that's our bank in London. I'm going to be there this afternoon, making some other deposits. I tell you what I'll do. I'm going to wire you £70,000. It will be in your bank by 5 o'clock this evening. He goes, Greg, you do that? You start next week. People may die, but somebody's got to pay the fucking bills around here. So the point is, step 3 is here we are. Write this down. Schedule it and lock the door behind you. Schedule it and lock the door behind you. Meaning, do something which commits you to doing it. Here's what I've learned from some of the most successful people I've had the opportunity to spend time with. Successful people make it easy to move forward and difficult to move back. Unsuccessful people make it really difficult to move forward, very easy to back out. Does that make sense? You've got to set the game up so it's really easy to move forward and hit the goal, but really painful and awkward and difficult and ugly to go back. When I teach people to trade, I said, how important is it to you that you make this thing happen? And they go, it's really important. I go, is it important to anyone else around you? And they go, yeah. I go, promise them. They'll hold you accountable. Does that make sense? Promise them. Tell your spouse, tell your girlfriend, tell your boyfriend, you're going to make yourself £40,000 a month. Tell them. They'll hold you accountable, especially if they're a benefactor. You know what I mean? So schedule it and and lock the door behind you. And number 4 is get around the path walkers. Spend time with people who are doing it and making a lot of money doing it. And this is the difference that makes the difference. I've been really fortunate to do this. It's now 15 years later, and having run trading floors and owning trading floors and trading centers, having taught thousands of people around the world how to do it, what's interesting is the very core of what I do is still the same practically as it was many years ago. Things have changed, markets change, and of course we update strategies to make sure they're even more potent in current market conditions, but it's allowed me to do a lot. And what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, I'd like to play you a video of the kind of stuff I get up to now, trading the foreign exchange market, because once for me in the old days, it started as an IT guy on a trading floor, knowing nothing about this, learning a few tricks. It's culminated, and we run a foundation, and we run this whole organization based on currency trading. So with your permission, can I play you a video that I think is really cool, just to demonstrate kind of what we do and why we teach people like you how to make money trading, because we kind of get you involved in this foundation that we do all around the world, which is really cool. So can I play the video to you guys? You want to see that? Okay, here we go.
Hi, this is Greg Secker, and I'm at the Denham Airfield, and you might be wondering what I'm doing here today. Well, in a minute, I'm about to get in that helicopter and start trading the currency markets live. If you are a trader, you're going to be following me as we trade the markets live from the sky, and whilst we can have some fun making some money and generating some income, we can also make some money for a worthwhile cause too.
Next door, we have over 50 people trading simultaneously as they follow the live trades. We also have over 150 people worldwide following us from home.
Everybody's excited and trying to get in on the trades.
Down at Knowledge to Action today to see the Knowledge to Action Foundation and the flying trader in full swing. It's incredible.
It's very high energy, good fun, learning a huge amount.
I didn't realise it was going to be just so alive.
50 traders in the room, they're up over 400 pips. It's a fantastic day. Everybody's having a lot of fun. It's for a great cause and we're incredibly proud.
It's going great, really exciting. The atmosphere's really fantastic.
I've seen different strategies being used, absolutely incredible amount of experience they've got.
A lot of the atmosphere's been fantastic, but I've learned so much.
I think it really is amazing. You know, he's up in his helicopter and he's trying to find these trades. It's just so surreal, actually.
Okay, here we are at the Canary Wharf. Let's look at the euro position right now. You can see it's lined up, perfect position, now going short.
We've already made over 400 pips, which is incredibly successful.
Yeah, a bit jealous really that he's up there and we're down here, but some of the trade calls have been very useful and learning a lot from all the guys running the course.
There's some money to be made, and I believe they're up quite nicely already early into the trading sessions.
Great reward risk, great trade. Let's get the position on.
I made about 1.5%, so it was really good.
It is an incredible experience.
All of the profits today will be going to 2 very important charities. Number 1, the Ubuntu Education Fund in South Africa, and Bernardo's here in the UK.
The funds raised will go towards Bernardo's works, a really important part of the work that we do with the young people, helping them lead independent lives.
This will enable us to transform the lives of hundreds of orphaned and vulnerable children in South Africa.
Both of these charities support children in need, and so thank you very much for your support.
We've placed a lot of trades, we've made a load of money. I hope you have too. It's bye for now, but we look forward to seeing you at the next Flying Trader.
Cool, thank you. Good, thanks very much. That's very kind. Okay. So that's something I'm very passionate about, and that's what we do all over the world. We set up our trading floors, and then we kind of run this mad project behind it. And it is a mad. Everyone thinks it's glamorous flying in a helicopter, trading the markets. You have no. It's like a freaking greenhouse in the sky up there. 8 hours with the sun beaming down. You're sweating. You're jiggered to death. But nonetheless, we've done well. We've raised nearly, we'll make £400,000 for those two charities by May next year, which is pretty exciting. So I'm kind of cool there. Now, we ask the people we teach to trade to be involved in that. So once a month, they get to trade live and follow me. They follow the trade calls on a website. And it's a really nice way of teaching people. When I teach someone to trade, often they just need and want to make more money. You get them to a stage where they're making decent money and they're making a little bit more than they thought they'd be making. And then you get them to a stage where they're giving back a little bit and doing something else. I think you create a real nice cycle with people. So I'd like to kind of drop that onto you. And I want you to think now, if I could just jump to the PowerPoints, that'd be great. And this is really about getting you guys focused. I'd like you to write down 2 things, not 3, 2, right now. I want you to imagine that in the next 6 months, you're making at least an additional $40,000 on top of what you're traditionally bringing in. I'd like you to write down 2 things that you would give yourself that you currently have not given yourself. And I think it's very important that you do that right now. And the reason I say that is I teach the mechanics of how to do that, and I've shown you some of the stuff that you need to do in order to make the money. But I think unless we put the spark plug in the engine, in other words, unless you make it relevant to you personally, and that often is what you get out of this, why you would do this, then I think it's irrelevant. Because I've got to tell you this, I can cajole you, I can tell you some funny stories, I can also give you some information, but unless you take action and do something with it, and it's meaningful for you, it all becomes for nothing. I've got to tell you, the richest people in the world set goals, and after they do that, we need to then break down exactly what needs to be done. Let me tell you just kind of briefly how, let's say I sat with one of you and you said to me, I want to make $40,000, Greg, and I need to be making that every month within the next 6 or 8 months. Here's the process. We sit there and say, okay, if you're here, we need to establish where you are first, where you want to go, and then we need to break it down into chunks. And that says, well, okay, how much money do you need to start with? Or how much trading do you need to do? How much time do you need to give it? How many trades do you need to be placing per week or per month? And then we look at you and we say, when are you free? We look at your time frame availability and we match it up with a strategy that works best with you. I'm going to talk about resonance in a minute, which is critical to making money. Certain things in this life will resonate with you more than other things. And establishing what resonates. Do you guys understand what I mean when I say resonate? Yes or no? Resonate means kind of like vibrates with your core. This is an easy way for you to make money. I really don't believe that you should ever try and make money with something which doesn't resonate with you. You'll never be successful at it, and you'll just keep bashing your head against it. So I teach people a number of different trading strategies, and we have them play with them in a kind of a childlike fashion, if you like, for a few weeks, and we figure out the one which resonates with them. We put the plan around that, and that's what they go off and make their money with. Let me tell you this. If you've got a successful trading strategy which is making you a lot of money, how many strategies do you need? The answer is 1, and 1 alone. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how we do it. If I can just, someone could click that slide on for me, that'd be really, really useful. Yeah, okay. So if you could just click the slide on, this thing stopped working. So that's great, thank you. And again. Okay, so look at this diagram up here. I have no idea. Okay, forget the diagram. Okay, so there was a diagram where it had a bunch of ingredients on it. It had flour, it had butter, it had milk, all that kind of stuff. We're going to get to that in a minute if you could just jump to it. Basically, imagine if I was going to teach you to trade, or if I was going to teach you to cook by asking you to study all the ingredients of something. Well, trying to study all the ingredients of something is going to make the process long-winded, impossible, and you're going to lose your, oh, thank you so much, awesome. And it's going to make you lose your drive. And the problem is, most people, when they think about learning to trade, they think they have to learn everything, the almanac of trading. I always say to people, look, forget about it. Listen to this. I don't teach people how to trade. That's not what I do. People go, yeah, you do. That's exactly what you do. I go, no, I don't. I say I teach people how to make money from trading. In other words, if you're somebody who sat there today saying, well, in order for me to feel comfortable doing this, making money trading, I need to know everything, I would be the wrong guy to work with. I don't do that whatsoever. There is way too much to know. You need at least a 4-year degree in Harvard studying super economics to really understand what's going on with the flows of the currency markets today. It's massive. So that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is saying, okay, let's look at the 3 or 4 opportunities that present themselves every single day where you could make between 50 and 100 pips. What would be more useful? The first, knowing everything, or in my opinion, the second, which tells you what to do, when to do it, and then get the hell out of there. Do you guys understand what I'm trying to say? So I don't believe in teaching you everything. So of course, you then have to make some discretionary approach on how to do it. And that would be the same as, if I could just quickly jump to, let's have a look. Yeah, back, there we go. So this would be the same as saying, look, you know, if we're going to make a cake, where the flour came from, which cow gave us the milk, which chicken pooped out the egg, or where the butter came from is unimportant. The key is, how do we get to the result? Well, we need to know what the recipe looks like. Let me just be able to go back a sec here. This thing's just flicking way out of control. Okay, so let's say this is the result we want. Well, to get the result we want, we just need to follow the recipe of the creator who did it in the first place. Don't do that and just focus purely on the ingredients themselves. You end up with a poop cake. So I believe first and foremost, you need to know what to do. That's the mechanics, the strategy. Then you need to spend a little bit of time with the person that put the game together, which in this case would be the chef, or more importantly, in my world, it would be someone like that, me, and sit there and do it live with them. So there's two parts of this, isn't it? The first part, of course, is the recipe, what to do and when to do it, and then doing it live with somebody. And I believe if you're going to give birth to a successful trader within you, and you can be other things too, you don't just need to be a trader, but there should be a part of your day if you want to make some decent money. In my opinion, certainly my experience, making money in this world today, there is nothing that stands anywhere near the currency markets. Well, that means in order to give birth to that in you, you need to spend a little bit of time with somebody who's doing it. The company I run, this is my show-off slide, but the company I run has become the 49th fastest growing organization in Great Britain. We run, obviously, trading floors all over the world. The reason it's become so successful is because the people that we teach to do this go off and make a lot of money, and they come back, and then they become people who then trade on our trading floors around the world, and that makes a very successful organization. The foundation, as you saw, then becomes something we then bolt onto it. So wherever we have one of our trading centers around the world, we run foundation activities so that the traders, who are the people like yourselves who often make money, they can actually then contribute to the foundation and do other things with it. So it becomes a really nice process. Now, how does it all come together? Well, there are three elements: immersion training, successful strategy, and click, click, click. That doesn't work. And then live one-on-one coaching. So what we do is we take you, we put you in a training center, and we train you for 2 days, which means that you won't learn the whole market. You'll sit there trading live with a trainer who's going to trade the currency markets. And you're just going to see how one of 3 trading strategies are put in the market and executed live. It's important that we don't fill your mind up with all the ingredients, just the strategies, which is what to do and when to do it. Then you start trading live on a trading floor. So you'll sit on we have a trading floor purpose-built here in Australia, which I opened 18 months ago. It's one of the most successful trading floors we have around the world. We're just starting a big fund here as well. And you'll sit there with one of the traders and you'll trade live, and you'll actually watch them trade their account alongside you trading your account. And I believe that is the process whereby you really get to build belief in yourself. Does that work now? Yeah, cool. So in order to make it happen, we need to know who you are. So that's the process. You learn to trade for 2 days. You understand the mechanics. Then you've got to figure out, well, who am I in this? And the who you are in this is the following. That different trading strategies resonate with different people. So we teach 3. From all the trading activity we do around the world, my organization trades 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. If we're trading in London, we'll trade the London session. When we go to sleep, Australia takes over, Johannesburg then takes over, then in America. So it's running constantly. And the reason we do that is there's money to be made 24 hours a day. We even teach people these days how to automate it so they don't even need to trade themselves. That makes it extremely powerful. Now, there are 3 systems. Let me run through very quickly what they are. There's a system, please write this down, called the sniper trade. This has been very, very successful worldwide. We use 4 time frames of reference to look at the markets and give us a signal. Now, why do we use 4 time frames of reference? Well, the 4 time frames are the following. Write these down. Daily, 4 hour, 1 hour, 5 minutes. There are 4 distinctly different time frames of reference that the world looks at the currency. And if those 4 time frames of reference, those 4 different trading groups are making the same decision on the same currency pair at the same time, in the same direction, is it likely that currency is going to move? And the answer to that question is yes. It's probably going to move between 50 and 80 points. We are looking to take about 25 points. We want to be in, take the money, close the position down. This happens 24 hours a day in all trading sessions all around the world. It's called the sniper trade. We sell this to people who literally want to trade 24 hours a day. So we have groups of traders, we have banks or fund managers or fund traders, more importantly, prop traders who say, we just want to learn this strategy. We come, we train them on it, we charge them $2,500 and off they go, and that's what they do. We have other groups of people who don't want to do that, don't have the time to trade like that, and they want to trade end of day, which means they place their positions in the morning. All of the trading strategies you're seeing are based on London trading times, because London is still the trading center of the foreign exchange world. 90% of the flow goes through London, because London trades with America and Southeast Asia and Australia longer than anywhere else in the world. We have extended trading hours in London. So the strategy of the income generator, which alerts you that there's a trade happening at midnight in London, is about 9 o'clock in the morning here. So sociable hours, interestingly, trading this strategy here. We charge $2,500 for it, and literally people trade the income generator, and it runs between, write this down, between 3 or 4 days. That's how long the position runs. And you're looking to pull about 200 to 300 points on those trades, which is about $10 a pip. You're looking at $2,000 to $3,000. So a very, very powerful trading strategy, but it's not one of those things where you sit there needing to look at it. Again, it can be automated. And the very last one here is the pivot trades, which is pivot trading is what I showed you at the beginning where I made the 19,000 in 4 minutes. You'll have wanted to have traded for about 4 to 6 weeks before you start doing this. It's not more complicated. It's just you need to understand what you're doing a little bit more. So this is after a month or two of trading the other two strategies. The pivot system, you're targeting much more. You're targeting 200 to 300 points a week. We sell it for £2,500. People just go off and pivot trade. A lot of floor traders, I sell this to all over America and the UK, and that's what they do, one of those systems. Now, I believe for people like yourselves who may have never done this before, I think you need to understand what resonates with you the most. So we put all three together in one program. And my question to you is this: do you believe sitting there today, seeing some of the systems I've demonstrated to you, understanding some of how it works, do you guys believe you can do this? Yes or no? Well, let's see if we can get you guys behind this. Say, yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. The question then comes, why haven't you done it, or why aren't you doing it? And I believe the answer to those things is the following. And maybe a bit of disbelief, maybe you don't know the strategies, or maybe you've got some fear of the unknown, and that's completely common and completely normal. My point, though, is in this world right now, you can set up a business, you can hire staff, you can buy inventory, you can load stock, you can do all that bullshit if you want, or you can use the world's money mountain and make yourself a fortune. You have no one to report to. You can take your laptop wherever you go in the world. Wherever I take my laptop, I can place the same trades off that as I do at any of my trading floors around the world and make the same money. I have no one to report to, no staff to hire, nothing. And the money can grow exponentially. And in current market conditions, where we used to sit graduates down and say, look, we're going to go for 100 points a week, that's $1,000 a week. We have graduates now targeting 300 to 400 points a week in these market conditions after 6 weeks of trading. Now, I don't care who you are, that is incredible returns for a short learning period. Would you guys agree with that statement, yes or no? It's decent money, it's worth doing. I say start now. Please listen to this guy.
Hi, I took Greg Secker's Traders University course in April 2006, and it's worked for me. I've been making money steadily ever since then. My best trade so far, I made £9,384 profit. I would thoroughly recommend Greg's course to you. The reason why is because his system works. If you follow what he says and you're prepared to work hard enough, you can definitely make money too.
Okay, I just want to stop on here, and there's a couple of things he said which is really important. The two things he said is, look, the system works, but you've got to do your bit, and that's the truth. You've got to step up and do your part of the process. It's not going to do it on its own. Let me tell you how it works. The first step in the process that we run, we have something called the Trader Dashboard. I hire traders all over the world, and we have a technology team based out in California that develop a system run by eSignal, which is basically we call the dashboard. We sell it to the financial industry, and it basically has indicators on that chart which show you when to buy and when to sell. Think about it like this. If you were learning to start trading on your own, you'd need to buy some charting software, you'd need a broker. The problem with the charting software is you need to understand when do I buy, when do I sell. What we do is we configure this for you so you know exactly where to get in, where to put your stop loss. So literally the system alerts you. Your screens will be absolutely identical to the screens we have running on our trading floors all around the world. And it's very important that you have that piece piece of software. We have traders constantly developing all over the planet, ensuring they feed in what's working in market conditions now, what isn't working, and they configure it so that when you have it running on your system, it shows you what to do and when to do it. That's the first step. So you install that. The second part of the process is you come on a 2-day training program, and we show you exactly what to do and when to do it. And then thirdly, you attend your trader coaching where you put some money into your trading account and you start trading live. And this, to me, is the most exciting part of the process. Now, I'll tell you now, the program I run is probably one of the most expensive Forex trading programs on. And for the reason for that is it's the best. You have access to some of the best currency traders on the planet. You've got some of the best I actually run, or some of the best traders that work for me are actually situated out here in Australia, interestingly enough, run one of our largest funds. And for that reason, you get to spend time with those guys one-on-one trading live. Now, the date for the program, please write this down, is the 26th and the 27th of November. Here's what we're going to do for this event. We're taking a group of you, 50 people only. I'm going to tell you now, the program is certainly not the cheapest in the world. It's a $13,000 program. This is not a rinky-dink kind of download some ebook from 5 years ago on how to trade the currency markets. This is real, live update, sitting with real fund traders and trading the markets live and making real money. Here's the key. The date is the 26th, the 27th of November. We're going to take 50 people, and what we want to do with you is we want to measure how successful you are over a period of 6 months. And what we want to do is we want to mark what your returns are from now to 6 months' time. You're not going to pay $13,000. For the first 50 of you, you'll pay $4,995. You need to enroll at one of the desks, either at the back of the room or the side. 50 people only. It's been a real pleasure. 3, 2, 1, go. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you very much.